Karys Ann's story on the show today is an inspirational journey of flipping the switch on a life of grind and burnout. You've likely known someone who has experienced that or have even experienced it yourself. In her journey, she has learned about how to use law of attraction principles. You'll hear how she transformed her life into a path of joy and ease. Listen in for yourself as Karys Ann shares some life-changing advice in this episode.
Welcome to the Manifestation and Money podcast, where we bridge the worlds of the taboo topic of money with the woo-woo world of manifestation. We're your hosts, Chris and Jenny Schultz.
We're not just about dollars and cents around here. We're all about lifestyle design. You can be working towards financial independence while still living a life you love today.
Get ready for insightful conversations with guests who have embraced the FIRE movement by achieving financial independence and retiring early, as well as entrepreneurs and individuals who defied the norm and have paved their own way to a life they love.
Together, we'll explore the powerful connection between mindset, financial freedom, and living a purposeful life. And of course, we'll be sharing our own journey to how we carved our path to a seven-figure net worth before hitting the big 4-0. Are you ready to ignite your financial future? Then let's dive right in.
Welcome to the Manifestation and Money podcast, where your journey to financial independence and the life you love begins now.
Welcome to the Manifestation and Money podcast, Karys.
Thank you for having me. I'm really happy to be here.
I am excited to have you on the show today, and I would love for you to share with the listeners a little bit about who you are, what your story is.
Oh, yes, of course. I am from Wales in the UK, but I don't live in Wales anymore. I actually live in Australia, Sydney, Australia now. And that's kind of part of my journey, to be honest, started maybe about 4 or 5 years ago. Just before I moved to Australia, I was living in Wales. I had a lovely house. I had a good government job, working very long hours and in a bit of a burnt out state in that role, and definitely didn't like the spark inside me at all. It was kind of draining me a little bit. So I felt like I was in this kind of Groundhog Day reality where things were just ticking over. I would go to work, I would come home, go out on the weekend, then have the dreaded Sunday feelings and go back into that cycle. I didn't really have anything that lit me up inside. Me and my husband had just got married, and I was definitely like a doting wife, I would call myself. I would make my plans around my husband's life all the time. So I didn't really feel like I was in my own power. I'd been very codependent throughout my life. And then we decided to make the move to Australia because we thought there's got to be more to life than this. We thought, let's just try it for a year. We'll go on a working holiday visa. So we put the house up for sale with our cat as well, who got adopted with the tenants, and booked flights. Went to Australia probably within 6 months. It was a very short, quick decision to do that. And then as soon as we moved here, the borders closed for COVID. So it was like 2 weeks after we had arrived, the borders closed. We were kind of locked here. But for me, that was the best thing, to be honest, that happened to me, because my husband got a job straight away. I wasn't working. So it was the first time in forever that I'd ever been forced to spend time by myself, to really get to know myself, get to understand myself, get to love myself for the first time. Like, I really didn't have very good body confidence or anything prior to this. And as part of my journey, I just qualified to become a dance fitness instructor before I came to Australia. So I spent all my time dancing in lockdown. It was the best time ever for me. I really found myself, come out to my shell, but also in that time learned about law of attraction and meditation and how that can change your life, like how your thoughts can change your life and change your reality. So I really started focusing on what I wanted, which I'd never asked myself before. I'd never got curious on what I wanted. I was always one of these people who went through school, didn't go to university, just never knew what I wanted to do or be. And when my husband moved to Australia, he just started a brand new career as a photographer. He just picked up a camera and went for it. And now he runs like a really successful business 3 years in. So he inspired me to find the thing that was going to light me up inside. Like I knew the dancing did that for me, but I knew there was also something more. I started exploring coaching, and because of my level of law of attraction in the meantime, like I ended up manifesting 3 of my dream apartments out here in Sydney. And I was just obsessed by that, creating my reality just by thinking. So I got really clear on what I wanted. The coaching thing felt so right for me. I embarked on my journey as a law of attraction and empowerment coach for women about a year and a half ago now, from that coaching aspect. But I've been teaching that empowering dance fitness program for 5 years. So I combine those two things now in my coaching practices to really help women get out of their heads, get really clear on what their dream life looks like, and build the confidence within themselves and their body to create the life of their dreams.
What a fun story. It's neat to see how, like, when everybody was going through COVID and the isolation and the fear and all of the icky things that happened with it and to people, that there was so many things that also came out of COVID that were really good. Like your story might not have played out like that if you weren't forced to be on lockdown. You couldn't just pop back home where you had come from because that wasn't an option, right? So it forced you into this different lane, this different way of looking at your life, this new possibility, and you kind of ran with it. So that's fascinating. I love hearing little COVID stories like this. And you touched on 2 things in there. In reality, people listening to this podcast, yes, they want money, but they also want to manifest amazing things with their life. But at the end of the day, we all just truly want to create that lifestyle that is authentic to each of us, right? We want to be incongruent with what we are doing every single day. So you said when you were going through your journey here and really allowing yourself to figure out what it is that you wanted, you mentioned meditation and law of attraction that you were using.
Yeah.
Okay, can you share with us some of the techniques or practices that you were personally doing that kind of helped you through your journey?
Yes, I was told about law of attraction and meditation when I did my dance fitness training. So I didn't have any clue about self-development. And from such a small town in Wales, it's not even a thing that people know exists. So affirmations, anything to do with developing yourself outside of work, we don't know that exists. So when I first got introduced to it, it was a meditation by Bob Proctor that I still do to this day, that I started doing about 5 years ago now. It's his Health, Wealth and Power meditation. It's on YouTube and I absolutely love it. It just gets you into this really deep meditative state and a bit like hypnotizing, because it gets you to feel so relaxed and gets your mind to focus on all of the things that you do want. And what he says at the end of this meditation is the gold for me. He says, just don't think about what you don't want. Only think about what you do want. Only think about the things that you want to bring into your life. If you want to be healthy, feel into that healthy vibration and you can't not be healthy. So like that, same thing with wealth. If you want to be wealthy, feel into the wealthy vibration and you will get wealth. And those simple things, just don't think about what you don't want, think about what you do want, was so simple. But I was like, why have I not been doing this all my life? I was such a worrier before that, really bad. And actually, a part of my story that I didn't share in COVID, even though it was a great side of me finding myself, I also really suffered badly with health anxiety during that time. So I was in the doctors constantly thinking that I was dying because I just had this real bad fear of death for years, to be honest, because I was learning about law of attraction and going through that at the same time. And I was going to the doctors. I had every single test under the sun done and I was fine. And they actually prescribed me antidepressants because they thought that that was coming from a place of anxiety. And I was having pains in my chest. I actually thought I had heart issues and I was causing that myself in my mind. So from that and realizing that actually, if I stop thinking about all those things that I don't want and actually just focus on being healthy and telling myself that I am healthy, then I'm not going to experience all of this bodily pain anymore. So yeah, it was a big thing for me.
Thanks for sharing that, because I think that so many people think that law of attraction or manifestation is all roses and sunshine, right? We just have to think happy thoughts and everything is going to just come into fruition. Where in reality, you have to put in the work, but you also can be going through stuff that isn't what you want, but just holding that intention of what you do want is what's going to bring you out of that, right? So
Yeah.
thank you for sharing the true essence of what you were going through at that time.
Yeah, I think it is important to share that because there was, and I always think this in life, there's so many ups and downs and they do come together sometimes.
Mhm.
And it's looking back now that actually, because I was doing those two things at once, made me really have even more focus towards making sure I was living my life by the law of attraction. So I started playing with it. I started just waking up in the mornings and saying, I'm so looking forward to the exciting news coming to me today. And I would do little things like that. I would repeat that until I felt really excited. And always, always really exciting things would pop up for me. And I started sharing this with my mother and with my friends at home. And I was like, Mum, what would you really like to happen today? And she was like, well, I'd love for the plumber to finally call me back because I've been waiting for him for 3 months. I said, well, say it out loud. I'm so excited that the plumber is calling me today to fix my pipes. And she said it. I was like, do you feel excited? She was like, yeah, he's going to call today. And he did. He called like a few hours later. So we were just playing with it, having fun, right? Not taking anything too seriously. And it was when I realized that that was happening and I was constantly being aware of those negative thoughts that I didn't want. And I was like, right, how can I replace that? Actually, let's flip it. What do I want? I'd be so conscious of what I was saying out loud because I know that your subconscious mind takes that in straight away. So it was a time of me really being hyper focused on what I was saying, thinking, and doing. And also just being playful with it and just having fun. And then when I realized that those little things were happening, I was like, right, what apartment do I want in Sydney? Where do I want to live? And I got so specific. I was like, I want to see the harbour bridge from my apartment. I want to be by the sea. I want to see the sea from my window. I want to be by the beach. I want to have one bedroom. I want to have a dishwasher, little things like that. I want to have remote access to parking. I want storage, very specific about my apartment needs. And my husband was like, you're never going to find all of this. And funnily enough, I don't know if I put a budget on that first one, but we came across this apartment by complete chance. One that I wasn't even expecting to go and view because the pictures looked awful online. But I happened to get off the bus at the exact spot where that apartment was. I went to view it and it was literally on the beach. I could see the sea from my living room. You could hear the sea. And we walked downstairs and in the common area, you were on the beach with the harbour bridge in front of you. And the rent cost was so cheap for what it was because it was COVID. So we paid like $520, I think, a week, which is very cheap for Sydney prices in something like that with a harbour view. So my husband was like, how did you do this? I, well, manifested it.
Mhm. That's so funny. My husband is the same way with me. And now when I'm like, ooh, I'm going to go do this thing, he's like, okay, you go do what you do. He's like, I know you're going to make it happen, right? Like you find your little cheerleaders along the way.
Yeah, exactly. And he does the exact thing for himself and his business now. I think it's been really good me being in this space when he's been building his business because we were actually having this chat last night that he's got into this really flowy state with his business, which is amazing to see a man in that like flowy. I know things are coming to me. I'm not going to work too hard for it. I trust that I know what I want and getting focused on that. I'm taking little steps towards it. And I know it's only a matter of time until it comes. And it's really nice to see that he's taken on that way of running his business. He's not this like, oh God, hustle, hustle, hustle mindset, which I think he would have been, to be honest, before. But yeah, now he's just letting all the things come to him when it's
I
meant
love
to come.
that because you have to work hard for money. That is just something that is ingrained into us as humans. And when you can try to flip the script on that and know that I can come at a place of ease with what I'm doing, I can find work that feels fulfilling and joyful.
I can get paid to do the things that I love to do. If we can just flip the script on that and start exploring what those possibilities are, there's many, many things out there. There's so many ways to make money in this world, and they don't all involve grinding it out at soul-sucking jobs that you don't want to do, right? You said he's a photographer now. What was he doing prior to your guys' move to Australia?
So he was in the same, we worked at the same company. We work for government in the UK, and he was a project scheduler. And honestly, if there was any person that wasn't suited to their job as much as him, it would be him. He really didn't enjoy his job one bit. I don't think there was anything about it that he enjoyed. He is not meant to be sitting at a desk in an office. It's really not him. But he didn't even know about photography really before. He bought a camera about 3 months before we went away. There was a free course via my phone contract, free photography course that I just shared with him. I was like, oh, do you think you'd fancy doing something like this? And he was like, oh, do you know what? I might try it. And he did, and it's the first course he's done since university. He's not usually into like learning, but he locked himself in a room for 2 days straight and really got obsessed with learning about photography. So now he doesn't just do photography, he's branched out into full media production. So he does videos, brand stories, and only about a month ago we've set up his official like limited company out here, and he's got some people working for him. And so yeah, it's really grown into this big thing really naturally and authentically without even, honestly, it feels like he hasn't even tried.
Yeah. And that's when you know you're in congruency with what you should be doing.
Yeah, exactly right. Which is why I'm so passionate about helping other women find that thing that makes them feel really passionate and gives them that feeling of purpose, because things just fall into place for you when you're doing that thing that you're meant to be doing. Like everything feels good, everything feels right. It's never going to feel, nothing that is not meant for you will feel easy. If it's not meant for you, it's going to feel hard. If it's meant for you and you're looking at the things that you want to be doing and setting your sights on those goals and taking those little actions towards it, and I think that's a very important step, is taking the action towards it, then the universe helps support you. And that's where that co-creation comes from, right? It's not wishing in it into existence, even though sometimes that does work without you doing anything. But a lot of the time you want to at least be taking the tiniest of steps in that direction. And that's all the universe needs, I think, to help support you. Like, okay, you are committed to this, so let me help guide you. Let me put some things in your way that are going to help you on this path.
Definitely. Now, you, when you're working with clients, you went through it yourself, and now you're a law of attraction coach with these women. What do you see are some people's hangups? It's so easy to say, oh, I want that big thing, and then we're our own worst critics. So what do you see pops up for people that gets in their way?
Yeah, the biggest one, and I think everyone's got it, is just the deep down, I am not good enough story. Like that we've all got in us. It was created at some point in our childhood. And so we always do very deep belief, limiting belief working on a subconscious level using NLP techniques to really get to that point, a specific memory, the first time that they can remember they ever felt not good enough, or felt like, sometimes the not good enough translates into being not intelligent, or they think they're stupid in a way. So when it comes to going back to those moments, they can, and whenever we do that first exercise, continuously then throughout every session, they're like, oh, I'm trying to think where that came from. Oh, I'm trying to think where that came from. And so they start to recognize that their behaviors and the things that they believe in, which are not helpful towards their journey, that they are not true facts. And I think that is such a big realization. It's not, whatever you've been telling yourself for years is not a fact. It's just a belief, something that you've been repeating to yourself over and over again, something that your subconscious is taken on board as being truth and fact, but it is not. You can change that.
Yeah, that's so true. And it's so important. I hope anybody listening is really hearing that your beliefs that you're telling yourself, your reasons why you can or likely cannot do something, is simply your own belief of whether you can or cannot do it. It doesn't mean that it's a true fact that somebody out there
has set in stone. It is your own belief on the situation or the thought that you're having. That is a really, really key piece, I think, for people to hear in this today. I would love for you to share, what is the best piece of advice you have for someone who is wanting to go out there and create a life they love?
This is it. I've got so much advice. So I'm trying to pinpoint it to one thing. Just don't think about what you don't want. Honestly, stop thinking about what you don't want, because your thoughts do create your reality. So the second that you can start to redirect them onto what you do want, and to do that, you need to start getting a clear picture of what you do want. Just start somewhere, getting clear, crystal clear, all of the things that makes up a life that you love, and start focusing your attention there. Because where our focus goes, energy flows. That is what comes into creation. So the more you're thinking about the stuff you don't want, the more you're going to see that. The more you're thinking about the stuff you do want, the more you're going to see that. So you get to decide what that looks like and make the decision to change that point of focus and get energy moving towards all of the things that you want in life.
Well said. Thank you for sharing that. And I would love for you to tell the listeners where they can reach out and find you online.
Yes, of course. So you can find me on my website. It will be in the show notes, but it's karysann.com. And also on Instagram, I am the I Can Queen, because I help people realize they can do anything that they want. Honestly, you can. You can create whatever life you want for yourself if you just believe that that's possible and you start to focus your attention on that thing. So yes, that's where you can find me. I'm also on Facebook, so all the links will be in the show notes for you.
Well, thank you so much for joining me on the show today, Karys.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Hey, wait, before you go, do you want to increase your income by $1,000 a month? If so, check out our free side hustle guide at www.4leaflifestyle.com/money ideas. I'll pop it in the show notes for easy access.
Thank you for joining me on another episode of the Manifestation and Money Podcast. If you enjoyed today's chat, be sure to hit that subscribe button to catch more of our weekly episodes. Until then, cheers to creating a life you love.